So what I sent you was I put it in to scan in one batch. So if you just hit print, it would print out, it was about 6 pages.
6 pages, yes.
I thought we had gone over kind of briefly the Kedusha, and we hi Diane. Hi, and we compared what was the same and what, hi Charlene, let's see her face. We compared what was the same and what was different with the Kedusha in the morning, in the Shacharit, and in the and Musaf. So the Kedusha comes in as the third blessing. And I wanted you, if you have paper, I wanted you to write something down. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Shalom, shalom. Come on, Charlene, we don't see you.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Everybody good? All my little busy beavers practicing their little hearts out.
Yes. Francie, thank you
Very
for
proud of you. I'm very
getting us
proud.
all set up.
I love it. I really love it. Meanwhile, I was just taking it easy. I was reading a lot of books, playing with my dog and my cat. I was raking leaves. I was having a good old time, and I had a fall, and now my both legs are feeling strong. So I said, I'm getting out there and I'm raking.
Good job.
All ready for the spring planting. So I wanted you to take some notes. So if you could get a paper and something to write with. I just wanted to give you like the framework of the Amidah. Since the Amidah is 3 times a day, that is a very significant prayer. And we're going to take a look at it. There's only one of the brachot that I won't teach you because I can't, I don't believe in it. And that's the one of establishing a new temple. That would mean jihad. That would be a holy war. We'd probably be wiped out if that were the case. It would be a horrific thing if we ever tried to do that. Although there are some people in Israel who are, hello, Elizabeth, unmute, who raising, have access to oil, which is pure oil, and raising the calf without blemish, and they're really mishuganas, but that's another thing. So there are 7 days in the week. The Shabbat Amidah has how many blessings do you think?
7.
That's right. That was a hard question.
That was a guess.
That was a good guess, Okay, Elizabeth and Charlene, unmute and join the crowd. So I want, so I looked over them, and I want you to know, is somebody gargling? I want you to, like somebody is swimming. I want you to know what the theme of each bracha is, and I will explain to you what a chatima is. It's not something that's very rocket scientist. It's very easy. All right. So if you could write this down, take notes on this, because this will help you to understand what you're reading. Okay. So we're going to be studying the Musaf Amidah. It may take us 2 weeks because there's a lot of Hebrew reading and a lot of understanding. So I took, my source was Lev Shalem. I liked, they had a much easier to read layout than Sim Shalom, which is my go-to, which I am familiar with. It just is all flowing. But Lev Shalem breaks it up into the brachot, and so it's much easier to read and to teach. The first blessing is often called avot. Avot, does anyone know what that means? What does av mean, or abba?
Love of some kind.
No, father.
Father. So fathers. So which fathers do you think are mentioned in this bracha?
Patriarchs.
Okay, and who are they?
Abraham,
Isaac, Jacob.
Okay.
Jacob.
So when they say Elohei, it means the God of. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov. So you can refer to it as avot, fathers, patriarchs, but what it actually is saying is the qualities of the God of our ancestors. While it's addressing our connection to the patriarchs, it talks about qualities of God. Okay, the qualities of the God of our ancestors. And it kind of gives the rationale to our connection, like why should we worship this God? So we have a phrase, Gomel Chasadim Tovim comes up. Gomel is bestows or rewards. What is a chesed? If you do somebody a chesed, chasadim,
A kind
kindness,
The
gesture.
kindness.
a good deed, a compassionate act. So chasadim are compassionate acts, and tovim, so they're good deeds. It says rewards us for our good deeds. Gomel chasadim tovim
What did you say Gomel means?
rewards us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for our for good deeds. Gomel chasadim tovim. And then
Is
this
that-
phrase,
Can I ask you a question? When
Sure.
people recite Gomel, is that the same Gomel?
Oh,
interesting.
when I did Gomel, Gomel is you're asking God, it's like you're asking God to for redemption when you're sick. Like I was sick with my leg. I said to the rabbi, can I bench Gomel? Bench means pray. And there's just one line, and it says, thanking God for redeeming me from being sick. Or it's also for people getting out of jail, but I don't think any of you need to. Okay. Okay, so if you've been on a trip and you come back and you came back in good health, they say, L'chu shalom uvo shalom. Go in health and come back in health. Okay, go well and come back well. L'chu is plural of go. L'chu shalom uvo and come back. And this just by the same token is something interesting about Europeans. When you're seeing somebody off at the airport, we wave the goodbye like this. Bye-bye, it looks like go. Goodbye. Right? Go. Europeans, I understand, go like this. And in French, it says partir et revenir. I'm so excited. Last night in my class, I had a young man from Haiti, and I was remembering my French. It was fantastic. He was well educated, and so his French was not patois. It was really French. It was beautiful French. So I was able to speak to him and understand him. But they go like this, and partir means leaving is only revenir, returning, which is really a very beautiful thing. So they say, L'chu shalom, go in good health, go safely, uvo shalom. All right, and then they might say, if you're on a trip, Nisiya tova. Nisiya means a voyage. Tova, it's like bon voyage, have a good trip. All right, so that's the first bracha. So there'll be phrases that you know. Now, how many of you have ever heard of the wine called Mogen David, right? From your youth, So, Charlene, welcome, bracha haba'ah. So there's a phrase that says, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem. Well, we'll get to that one, but before that it says, umoshia umagen, who saves, Moshiach, like the Moshiach is supposed to be the Redeemer, Umoshia, and saves, Umagen, and shields. So Magen David really means a shield of David. All right, Magen David, the name of the line.
What line is that?
Okay, so let me see well, why don't we start reading it when we get to these, we'll say. Okay, now some people say silently the first line, which says Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Svatai are your lips. Open my lips, and my mouth will say your praises. So some people might say that to themselves. It's kind of a very nice concept. Okay, but that's not recited out loud. And if you do the silent Amidah. Now, at the top of the first page that I gave you, there are no vowels. Can anyone read what those three words say?
At the very, very top?
Very, very top in the larger letters.
Oh.
Oh, I can do it.
Okay, so Diane, what does it say?
Musaf l'Shabbat Amida.
Look at that girl go. Right, well, you're able to start this is like in first grade or whatever, you know, kids start to recognize whole language, the whole word, without sounding it out. And that's what happens when you read these prayers so many times. You can see that you look at that first word and when you start sounding it out, Musaf. And then you know Shabbat, Lish Shabbat, Musaf, the additional prayer for the Sabbath, and it's called the Amidah. The Amidah because we stand when we say it. And when the rabbi is doing the repetition, the cantor is doing the repetition, we'll do the first part, and after the Kedusha, the rabbi will say, you may be seated, while we're sitting and hearing him do the repetition. But when we're doing it for ourselves, when we're doing it silently, or when we are participating with the cantor, we are standing. Now, there's certain rules for the Amidah, and that is rules of etiquette. While the Amidah is being chanted, you are not supposed to be talking. You are not supposed to be walking in, joining the service. You're not supposed to be walking in or walking out. No talking and no walking. That's basically what it is. Because you're giving respect to that prayer. That's the only prayer that I know that has those rules, is the Amidah.
I thought you weren't supposed to walk in or out when people were standing.
Well,
just
yeah, when the ark
generally.
is, right, well, when the ark is,
Right.
and
Right.
while somebody is reading the Torah, it's not a one of these rules that you can't walk in. But I, as a Torah reader, find that disturbing. And if somebody is talking, I
Right.
find that also disturbing, whether
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in Torah or chanting Haftorah. If people are kibitzing, and it's
Mm.
even in the back rows, you can still hear it, and it still could throw you off your trope. It could just annoy you. You know, I mean, you're nervous anyway when you're up there and you're memorizing Torah. And if somebody is talking in the back rows, it's very annoying.
Mhm.
So don't do it. No, don't do it. No, it really, it's only etiquette. It's respect, right? Respect for the learner, the reader, and it's respect for the Torah. Because you are just like with the Megillah, and we will get to Purim later on, but just like with the Megillah, the mitzvah is hearing the words. Because it used to be that they would recite the whole Torah and the whole congregation would be standing and listening to the recitation of the whole thing. All right. So the mitzvah is hearing. All right. So we get, it says, now, whatever your preference is or whatever your synagogue is, my synagogue happens to be heavily egalitarian. Our best Torah reader is a female. And our second tier, our two best are females. And I'm in the second tier. They take the really long readings. I'll take one of medium length, but not like super duper long. But there's a cadre of females who are steady readers. So patriarchs or matriarch, the words are few extra words with the matriarchs. Now, the word for mother is what? Abba is father and mother is
Ima.
Ima. So the plural of father is avot, daddies, and the plural of mothers is imahot, imahot. So you'll see it will, in brackets, we're going to get to it. So let's do the one with the matriarchs too. So which are the matriarchs that are going to be named? The god of
Sarah,
Sarah, the god of
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Becca,
Yeah.
And Leah,
Rachel,
and as I
Leah.
said once before, Leah is always at the end, except in the Reform Prayer Book.
Right.
They have Rachel, they have Leah and Rachel, because I discussed this with the rabbi. I said, that's not fair. Leah always comes in last, and yet she had more children, contributed to the development of more tribes, of more Shvatim, than Rachel. Rachel died, she had the two kids, you have Benjamin, and you have Joseph. And there's that whole saga. But he said, well, probably because in the storyline, Rachel's children, Benjamin and Joseph, get us down, you know, Joseph is sold, and his coat is torn, his tunic of many colors, and he's sold to the caravan of Ishmaelite traders, and that gets us down to Egypt. And so we have the whole continuation of the story, because the second book, we're just finishing up Vayechi, that's tomorrow, that's the portion, that's the last reading in Bereshit, in Genesis. And it will start off in Exodus, and there arose a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. So that gets into the whole Exodus story and the Haggadah, and eventually it gets us into freedom, and it will eventually get us across the Jordan River and into the Promised Land. So I guess that's the strong link there. Okay, that Joseph was the second to the Pharaoh and all the rest. Okay, so it starts with the beginning of a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Velohe, and the God of Abraham, and in brackets, but Imotenu, and our mothers, Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzhak, Velohe Yaakov. So that's the fathers. Now we do the mothers, matriarchs, Elohe Sarah, Elohe Rivka, Elohe Rachel, Elohe Leah. There she is at the end of the line, the little caboose. Ha'el Hagadol, great God. Velohe Leah. We did that. Let's see. Ha'el Hagadol. Okay, Velohe Leah, right. Ha'el Hagadol, great God. Hagibor. Gibor is like Shimshon Hagibor, our hero. The
Gibor is here.
Gibor is hero, like Samson, the strong one. That's a Gibor. The Hanorah, Gibor v'Hanorah, and the awesome one, like today's teenagers. That's awesome, dude. Okay, Hanorah is awesome. El Elyon, the God up high upon us. Gomel Chasadim, bestows good deeds. Chasadim Tovim. And creates everything. V'konei Hakol. V'zocher, and remembers Chastei, the good deeds of our fathers. And there's our connection. The connection that we have to God is because it was the God of our ancestors. And so we are maintaining the faith that the patriarchs and matriarchs had with God. That's the link, that's the connection. And umevi goel livnei v'neihem, and he brings recompense, reward, livnei v'neihem, to their sons, to the sons of their sons, okay, to their ancestors, us. Lema'an, for the sake of Shemo B'Yahava, for the sake of his love, God's love, his name, B'Yahava, with love. So that's why it's called ancestors, avot, and it establishes our link to the past. Now, I read a commentary this morning, and whenever they say Elohe Avotenu, our God and God of our ancestor, there was an interpretation which I thought was very interesting. Okay, our God, this says that this means that we find God in our own way. We imagine God in our individual ways. We pray to God in our individual ways. And so that's why it's our God. It's my God. It's ours because, you know, when something belongs to you, if you create something, like I knitted a sweater. Now that sweater to me is like fantastic. You know, I did it with my hands. So when you do something for yourself, on behalf of yourself, that's a very strong connection. Your concept, and I asked once before when we started, if I said to you, what is your vision of God? What is we all will have a different idea. I told you that I feel that I walk with angels, that angels are. I prayed for this football player. I prayed to the angels and I said, he's 24, he's too young to die. This would be a shame. Heal him. I said a prayer for him. He's not Jewish, but I said a prayer. He's a young Black man, and I hate football.
Yeah, me too.
But this is a young person. He has his whole life ahead of him,
Right.
and so I said a prayer for him. Why not? I marshaled all the strength that I could, and my guys came through. So far, he's feeling better. So
I once learned when I was studying this, and you mentioned that about the individual gods, is that's why it says Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzhak, that they each had their own personal gods.
Beautiful, perfect. That's exactly why it's there. So it's our God, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu, our God and the God of our fathers. So we have two connections, a very personal, individual connection, and we have a historic, spiritual connection that goes back to the beginning of Judaism, right? To the founding fathers. Okay. So, I mean, those are big ideas. Those are not little piddling things. These are big, I think, foundational ideas of our faith. You know, where it comes from, why we connect, and why we say these ancient prayers, these prayers that are over the last hundreds of years, right? Why we still study the Talmud, Mishnah and Gemara, why academies are filled with scholars studying these ancient texts. Okay. So with the patriarchs, it just has the part with somebody, so it's not hard reading. Would somebody like to read the part about the patriarchs, the connection to the patriarchs on the right-hand side? Somebody want to read that slowly? The time. So it starts with the blessing.
Are you talking about the Hebrew?
Yeah, read it in Hebrew.
Oh, I can do it, I guess.
All right, so take your time and do it.
So the column right next to the one we just read.
Right, it says with patriarchs, so the
Okay.
women will be missing from this.
Yeah, I'm used to doing it with the women, but I'll attempt this one.
Well, there'll just be less to read.
Oh, good. That's good. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Velohei Yaakov Ho'el Hagadol Hagibur Vahanora Al
Ale,
El Elyon Gomel Hasodim Tovim Vikone Hakol Vizocher Hasde Avot Umevi Goel Livne Vinechem Lema'an Shemo Ba'ahava.
we're gonna make a collection and send you to the Jewish Theological Seminary to rabbinical school. All right, that was really beautiful. Just one thing, when you're the difference between the letter hey and the chet. So it's Vinehem. It's the aspirate, Vinehem. It's
Okay,
the
where is
second
that?
one, second from the end.
Oh, okay.
Okay, instead of Vinechem, because that means something else. That means their children, and Vinehem is your children. Okay. Somebody else want to try that? That was really nice. See, this should be something that you could rail up very quickly. All right, Nancy's shaking her head. Go ahead, Nancy, do it.
I'm just wondering why we're doing, if we're women through Women's League, why we're doing it the one with the patriarchs.
You want to do the other one? Do the other one.
It's
Okay,
longer.
Okay. Usually when something like that comes up, you say for the sake of bishvil chinuch, education. So that if
Oh,
you
okay.
go to a synagogue and they don't flag the women, you don't stand up and say, stop the cantor.
right.
He's doing it wrong. Wait a minute.
No,
Time out.
right.
Time out. Okay. It's just so that you're aware that there are two versions. Okay,
right.
do it with the
Okay.
women.
All right.
So,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Oh gosh.
Velohei.
Elohei Avraham. No.
Not yet. Avotenu.
Avotenu. I can't do it. Okay. Baruch
You
atah
can
Adonai
do it.
Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu.
Mhm.
Ve'imatenu.
That just says, and our mothers. Okay, they gave us a little
Imatenu.
nod.
Okay. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah. Oh yeah, there she is, the caboose.
Caboose.
El Hagadol Hagibor Vahano Ra El Elyon. Gomel Hasadim Tovim Bekonei HaKol Bezocher Hasde Avot Ve'ima Va'ima,
And
Oh.
on behalf of the
Yeah.
good deeds of our fathers and mothers.
Va'ima hot. Umevin goel lifnei v'nehem lama'a shmo
Ma'an,
lema'an shmo be'ahava.
Yopi, great.
Yay.
Nice reading. Ladies, I'm very impressed. Okay, now, this is not Shabbat Shuvah, so we wouldn't add all of that in. Okay, Shabbat Shuvah comes before Rosh Hashanah. And that's going to be probably next August. So now we're on the next page. Okay. All right, so we're still not finished. Okay, so this is still the same, the first bracha avot of the Amidah, okay? This is continuing. Now on page 2, it says, with the patriarchs and the matriarchs, Melech, Ozer, Ufoked, Umoshia, Umagend. U means and. And now we get to what I'm going to teach you. The Chatima is a formula, it's formulaic. It's at the end of each bracha of the Amidah. You said there were 7 brachot. Each one ends, and you know when it comes to the end of that bracha by this Baruch Atah Adonai. Now, when it's said out loud, the custom is if you go, Baruch Atah Adonai, Baruch Hu Uvaruch Shemo. Blessed is he and blessed is his name. You'll hear people saying that. Baruch Hu Uvaruch Shemo. They'll say that quickly. But when we get to the Baruch Atah Adonai, that is what is called the Chatima. That is the ending. And I will point out to you as we go along all 7. So you'll know when one blessing stops and we're starting the second one or the third. Okay. It'll become very obvious to you because that's the structure of this. It's very structured. Okay. So blessed are you, God, Magain, shield of Abraham, Ufoked, and protector of Sarah. So those, both Abraham and Lebriud, to your health. Okay, that's the end of the first blessing, the first bracha. It's finished. So now we get to the second one. But what I wanted to do on the second one is I wanted to do, well, okay, we could do this. Then it goes, now you can repeat after me. Atah Gibor, everybody. Atah Gibor.
Atah
Gibor,
Le'olam Adonai.
Le'olam
Adonai.
Adonai,
And here's the key idea here. Mechaye Metim.
Chaye Meiti,
Atah.
Ata,
Rav Lehoshia.
Rav Hoshia.
Yeah.
Francine, when someone says, oi, this is a machaya, what does it mean?
Oh, wonderful.
It's something wonderful. It's like it adds to your life. It's
Right.
A machaya means it's like, oh, it makes me feel rejuvenated, renewed, right?
Right.
And you have the root of chai, which is life. So it's a verb. Mechaye means gives life to. So we're going to have a little problem here, a little discussion. So you are our hero forever, Leolam, Adonai, Mechaye Meitim. And here's where a lot of people struggle with these words because they take them too literally. Mechaye Meitim Ata. You give life to the dead, literally is what it says. Rav, great to save us. Now, there was a song by Billy Joel, and in it, he says, you know, who we didn't light the fire. And it says, and in that one, it says something like, gives sight to the blind. So I asked my students in the 7th grade, was at that time, whatever, 10 years ago, they knew that song. And I said, what does it mean to give sight to the blind? I said, how would you interpret that? And be surprised, they were really very smart. They were very astute. How would anyone here want to offer, give sight to the blind? How would you interpret that?
Well, to open our eyes to things that we wouldn't have noticed before
Okay,
and help us see things in a new way.
okay. So that's really a gift, right?
Yes.
You know, when a lot of people think I'm really crazy. When my flowers are blooming in the summer and the sun is going down on a regular day, I go outside and I go, good night, Rosie. Good night, tulips. Good night, Lily. Good night, Petunia. Because, you know, they close up their petals at night. So I wish them all good night. You know, I know they're all going to close up. And if I get up early, I see them again, you know, all open up. So having a second sight, having insight into things, as Francine was saying, seeing things in a new light, in a new way, appreciating things. So that's what I think would give sight to the blind. You know, we didn't realize it before, and now I'm looking at it in a different way. Okay, another way to interpret this is that we have kavod, we have respect for those who have died. Mechaye gives life to those who have died. Well, a very big thing in Yiddishkeit, in Judaism, is that we respect those people who have died. Ashkenazim name after those who have died. Sephardim name after those who are still alive to give them kavod, respect. On a yard site, every year, when it's the anniversary of somebody who has passed, we go to shul and we say kiddush, we say yiska, we say yiskor, which means he will remember. And so we remember, so those memories of those people we loved and who have passed, those are in our system, in our heart, in our mind, in our psyche. I mean, my mother died when I was very young, when I was 13, but I still remember things. My father lived to much longer, but those memories stay with us. And those of us who have grandchildren, you might tell a story, or your grandmother used to do this, or say this, or you look like your grandmother, you look like your grandfather, right?
Mhm.
So that is giving respect to the dead and actually, you know, giving them life in our generation. I think it's a very emotional, it's a very spiritual thing, but we do it. We all do it, right? We light candles, we say prayer, we go to synagogue. And the New Year, the synagogues put out a Yiska booklet. And as a congregation, we say Yiska, we say even Yiska for those members, those people in our families and just in general who have died during the Holocaust, those people in the congregation who have died, right? We're not to say that we're big on death, but we're big on respecting
And remembering.
and remembering, right? Yiskor, you will remember. So that I think is what Mechaye Metim means. I think all of those things. So then it goes Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye Metim. That's going to hear that a lot. Berachamim Rabim, in your great compassion. Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asarim. Okay, so the second bracha I wanted you to write down. The key ideas is how God helps us. We're going to read about the qualities of God. So it says the first one was gives life to the dead, and you can translate that any way you want. Another one I said says it revives our spirituality. Revives your spirituality. Like if you were not very religious and then you start attending services and something happens, there's some event or some song or something that just gets to you, that you weren't religious before, you weren't too spiritual, all of a sudden you feel something come alive. So it revives a certain part of us that we might not have had before. I mean, all of you will have your stories as to why you're taking this class, why you want to learn Hebrew, why you want to have a bat mitzvah, why you want to read Torah, right? We'll have some personal story. Something touched you along the way. And maybe you didn't have a bat mitzvah, and maybe you're contemplating that. But you will have some kind of a spark. Something touched you to get you to this point, to put all your hours and hours to study Hebrew. Right? And I won't ask you your personal stories, but unless somebody has some particular event that touched them that wants to share, but we'll let it go for now. So it is gives life to the dead, or revives our spirituality, or makes us see things in a new way. Now, somech means supports. No fleem, no fail means falls, supports the fallen. So how would we interpret that? Who are the fallen? Supports the fallen. Who's fallen?
Well, like homeless people or people who are in a bad way in some way.
Right, and doesn't our synagogue do that? I mean, a lot of my synagogue has a food pantry. And if there's somebody in the neighborhood that needs housing so that they're religious, so they could go to walk to Shabbat services, or needs charity, the rabbi has a special discretionary fund, right? There was a young lady who came to our house and joined us for Thanksgiving dinner because she had no place to go. So that's the people in our congregation. We send money, you know, how many of us support Israel, we send money to Israel. So to people who need our help. Okay, so this is what they say, God supports the fallen. Rofei cholim, we didn't get, Rofei is a doctor, a rofei. A dentist would be rofei shinayim, a doctor of teeth. I guess a psychiatrist is rofei hamoach, a doctor of the brain. Okay, so rofei cholim are sick people. If you say ani chola, I'm sick. Okay, so and as a verb, it means to heal, heals the sick. Okay, so didn't I just say this young man who was near death, and people are saying prayers. It doesn't matter if they're Catholic or Protestant or Muslim or whatever, they're saying prayers, and maybe that'll help. We don't know. I can't prove it one way or another if prayer helps people who are sick. I'm tending to think it does. Okay, so let's see. It says, "Somech noflim v'rofei cholim umatir asurim," and frees those who are imprisoned. Okay, I don't think any of you. Umekayem emunato, and gives emunato is compassion. Lishene afar. And now we looked at these on Hanukkah. Remember I said Maccabee is mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha, and it's a little different. Ba'el gevurot, who is like you? Mi kamocha. And that'll come later, and that comes earlier in the service. Mi kamocha ba'el in God's Baal gevurot in strength. Umi dome lach, and who is similar to you? Okay, I'm not looking at, I'm just translating, Melech Memit, the true king, Umechaye, and who gives life, Umatzmiach, Yeshua, and doles out redemption. Now, we're getting ready for the Chatima, the end of the second bracha. B'ne'eman ata lahachayot meitim. Then it says, and here is the formula, Baruch ata Adonai, we say Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo, Mechaye hametim. So that is the essence of the second blessing. It's God's qualities. Okay, revives those who are sick, gives life to the dead. In any way you want to interpret it. Okay, I need somebody to read that. From Michal.
I'll try it.
Who's
I'll try it.
Okay, Denise, our pre-bat mitzvah.
Does anybody ever sing this at shul? This,
Sure. Yeah. When we do it all together.
right. Right.
So make no clean.
Okay, so Matt, I'll finish from there. So Mac no fleem or so Mac no fleem or Mac halam umi don no Uma Umatir Asorim, Umakayam Emunato, Leshan Shan
Shane Apar.
Mi Kamoka Balgevoro, Umidomelak, Melech Nemi, Umechaya,
Yeah.
Matzmi et Yeshua.
And good. And then they'll
Yeah.
play this up. B'nei manatala hachayot metim baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim. And that's the end of the second bracha. So that word is called a chatima. That's the formula for the end of one of these brachot, one of these blessings in the Amidah. Okay, when you yes, Nancy.
On the line, the last line that says Melech may
Maybe?
yeah, Melech may meet. Umaha, and then there's that yud with all those little things.
Forget that. It's just a yud. To you, it's just a yud.
Okay.
Umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua. Okay, it's just a yud. That's just in pronunciation, it's just a yud. Okay,
Okay.
so we had the
That's
first,
Joshua, correct?
excuse me?
Yeshua.
Yes, Yeshua, right, Yehoshua.
Okay.
Joshua is Yehoshua, that's my son's name, Yehoshua.
Okay.
Okay, so just to recap, the first of the second brachot of the Shabbat, Musaf Amidah, is one that talks about our ancestors. It has the patriarchs and the matriarchs, okay, our connection to God. For their good deeds, because of their good deeds, we're connected to them. Okay, that's why God loved them and blessed them, and we have inherited this love of this God because of our ancestors. And the second one talks about things that God actually does, gives life to the dead, supports the fallen, people who are in bad way, heals the sick. And then it says at the end, who is like you amongst the gods? It's like Mika Mocha Ba'elim Adonai. It's like the Maccabees said, there's nobody like you. And it says there's no one. Mika Mocha, no one. All right. So that ends. Now we know we finished the second bracha after that Baruch Atah. Okay, is that clear? Okay. So like I said, it's very obvious. You'll know when that one finishes because you see that Baruch Atah Adonai, that's it. Okay, how we doing? All right, now on page 3, it says the following paragraph is said only when the entire Amidah is recited silently. Does anyone know why? Okay, because the Kedusha talks about God and God's holiness. And when we're reciting the Amidah to ourselves, we don't say the whole Kedusha. The Kedusha is on the third blessing. So I did not print out the Kedusha, the Musaf Kedusha, because you already have it. So at the end of the Kedusha, you know, and in there it has Shema Yisrael in the Musaf Kedusha. So it talks about where is God? It says Ayeh Mekom Kevodo. Where is the place of His holiness? Where is God's abode? Ayeh Mekom Kevodo. Where Ayeh is where, and it talks about God's holiness, and then it says a Shema, that there is one God. Now that line is not in the morning Amidah, the Shema Yisrael. Okay, we had compared that one, but when you're doing this on your own, then you say, Atah Kadosh, you are holy, V'shimcha Kadosh, and your name is holy, U'kadoshim b'chol yom, and holy every day, Yahalalucha Selah, praised are you. And here is the end of the third bracha. The Kedusha is the third bracha. That whole Kedusha, we sing that whole thing, and the Lador Vador, all that, that's the Kedusha, that whole big page. It has nice melodies. And then if you're doing it by yourself, Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh, because, and I want you to write this down, The third bracha is called the Kedusha, and it talks about God's holiness. Okay, so you see the word kadosh, 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 and you see that a lot in words from the root of kadosh, right? And it's called the Kedusha. All right. All right. So we have done it. So we're going to now go on to the next one. Now on this page, I particularly wanted you to do the second paragraph. Okay, let me see. This second paragraph. Okay, because that has some nice words in it, and I want you to be able to read that. It starts with a phrase that occurs a lot in prayers. Yehi ratzon. Yehi ratzon. May it be your will. Yehi ratzon. Does somebody have a beeper or something? All right, so this one, we're going to read it together. This one you're going to call the celebration of Shabbat. And it talks about the Musaf, which is the additional offering. Like on holidays, they gave another sacrifice. This one refers to the sacrificial system in the temple, when there was a temple. Obviously, when the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians, the first temple, and by the Romans, the second temple in 70 of the Common Era. Oh, by the way, are you aware of how we refer to Jewish dating? Christians will say BC and AD. We don't do that in Jewish history books. BC means before Christ, and AD means Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. So we just do something different. If we want to say before the year 0 or before the birth of Christ, we say BCE, and that means before the Common Era.
Yeah.
Before the time that was common to both Christianity and Judaism. Of course, we're much older, so our history goes back, way back. Okay, Abraham. So BCE, before the Common Era. Likewise, after the birth of Christ, I always ask the students, what does AD mean? And you know what they always say? After death. And then I'm ready to pull every hair out. I go, no, it's Latin. It means Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Not my Lord, maybe not yours either. Okay, so after the year 0 or 1, we would just say CE. We're now in CE, the Common Era. So
I think I'm hearing that more and more from all kinds of scholars. They say BCE or CE. I'm not hearing AD very much.
oh, well, that would be Christian scholars and priests and, Christians in general.
Right.
Okay, so, all right, so that's about dating. So, Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu. Again, it says, our God, there's a phrase a lot, these repeat. Our God, Eloheinu, new on the end is our, ve'Elohei, and the God of Avotenu. Okay, so these phrases are redundant. Hameshiv banim ligvulam sheta alenu besimcha la'artzenu. Okay, who brought us up to our land, to our borders. Gavul is the border. Sheta alenu. An aliyah means going up. When you get an aliyah, you're going up to the Torah. You're going on the bima. In Israel, the National Theater is called Habima, the platform, right? Because they're on the boards. They're on the boards of the theater, so to speak. Okay, so la'alot means to go up. She ta'alenu, you brought us up. B'simcha, with happiness, to our land. Le'artzenu, to our land. You brought us up to our land. Okay, we went over the Jordan into the promised land. That's Zion. That is Sion. Okay, v'tita'enu bigvulenu. Okay, so Gavul is a border. And our borders. You brought us to our through our borders. Shesam asu abotenu, which our forefathers did. Remember, Joshua leads the people across the Jordan. Moses dies, Aaron dies, Miriam dies, the whole family of the original leaders dies out, and Yehoshua leads them across, right? Into and implants us in our land, which will become Yisrael, Zion. Okay, well, let's do some reading here because time is getting short. So let's see if I had any other notes on this. So this is now, as I said, the fourth bracha is a celebration of Shabbat, restores us to our borders where we once offered the daily sacrifices and additional offerings, which is Musaf and the Shabbat offerings. So it will refer to those. So let's read this. And then if you want to see the end of that, okay, the end of the fourth is on the next page, which says Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. So this talks about giving offerings on the Sabbath and additional offerings, which is Musaf offerings and holiday. And that's the key words there. Mekadesh sanctifies the Sabbath. So this is about offerings on Shabbat. And of course, when the temple was destroyed both times, what are we left with? We can't have a barbecue in our backyard and say, okay, I'm offering this to God. We can't make the holy offerings there. We don't have any more system of the Kohanim, the Leviim. We don't have any of that. We don't have an altar back there to make sacrifices on. So we can't do that. That can only be done in the temple in Jerusalem, and there's no more temple. So the rabbis in their infinite wisdom said, okay, you will make the sacrifice of time. You won't give prayer. You don't have to butcher a cow, and you don't have to take of the fat and render it on the fire and all that. You don't have to have all of that bloodletting of the animals. This is good for vegetarians and vegans. You now can go nice and clean. Your clothes won't get all bloody like the Kohen. You can go to services from 9 to 12, and that's your sacrifice, and you can pray. That's what they decided. You're not allowed to do it in your own backyard. So what can you do? How can you connect to your faith, to your religion? You go to services. And that's the rabbinic, that's how, we got a bunch of chachamim, we got a bunch of very smart rabbis and ancestors who figured all this stuff out for us. Right? My services are 3 hours. When I go tomorrow, 9 to 12, we do the Amidah at least twice. And if you stay from Mincha, 3 times. Okay, so let's just read this paragraph. Let's get the Hebrew reading down. It's the one that starts with Yehi Ratzon. All right, why don't we have each of you will read like 2 lines. Francine, will you read the first 2 lines starting with Yehi Ratzon?
Yehi Ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Hamishiv Banim Ligvula.
Excellent, Mitsuyan.
Ligvula.
Nice job. Denise, take the next 2 lines.
Can you tell me which page you're on? I'm lost.
Page 3, the 3rd page.
Okay.
Okay,
And
at the top, it was the end of the 3rd bracha, and
Right.
now we're working on the 4th.
Okay, so we're in the middle somewhere.
It's in the middle, the 2nd big paragraph,
Okay.
and we're on the 3rd line, Sheta Alenu.
Got it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Shita Alenu, Basomaha,
the Simcha,
Besimcha, Le Aratzenu, that Titanu.
Don't cut it short, take it by syllables, ta, and you have 2 dots under the I and A.
Enu,
Now say the whole word.
that Titaenu.
Great.
Okay. Bigevor Lenu. Shesham. Shesham.
Yes.
Ashu.
Okay,
Asu.
now this dot is on the left.
Asu.
Correct.
Okay. Avotenu. Uma. Uma. No. Umitenu.
The emotenu and our mothers.
On
But
our mothers.
okay,
Lefenecha.
very nice. Elizabeth, would you like to take 2 lines?
Yes, okay.
Okay, et.
Car,
Okay, now you see that kamatz looks darker and larger. That means you're going to pronounce it or.
okay. Kor benotei hem
Nice.
temidim
Mhm.
chesid ram
Very good.
umutafim
It's a samech. Umu.
umu safim.
Right. Musafim is more than one musaf service, and the musaf services, good.
Behil
K,
ha
k, it's rounded. K,
behuk behil
k.
oh kahil wait
Good.
kahil hatam.
Kahil Khatam. Very nice. Okay. Who wants to do, let's say the next 2. Nancy? The et,
Ve'et mo
mu,
up.
mu.
Musaf, sorry. Ve'et musaf duh. Yom ha Shabbat hazeh su
Mhm.
behik
Where are you? Oh, go ahead. Asuva, Bahik.
behik ribu.
Mhm. Good. Last 2.
Ugh,
Okay,
did I
let's
do? I
get,
thought I only did 1, but there you go. That's
all
fine.
right, let's get Dorothy.
Lefanecha ve'ahava kimitzvat
The mitzvot.
kimitzvat rizonecha
Mhm.
kakatu v'torah techa
Good. Last line, al.
al yadei Moshe avdecha mi pi kavodecha ka'amur.
Oh, very nice. Nice reading. Okay, ladies, you're getting really good at your reading. I'm seeing fewer and fewer mistakes. Now, the smaller print is our cantor, Alava Shalom, used to sing Uvyom, 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 HaShabbat, Uvyom, 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 HaShabbat, and then go Shnei Kavasim, Shnei Kavasim, B'nei Shana, B'nei Shana Taminim, Ushnei Esronim Solet, Min Chabalula Vashem. And it is just outlining what the sacrifices were. But the way the melody is so nice and bouncy, you don't think about animals getting slaughtered on the altar. You're just singing la 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 la. And you're just reading about all these animals. Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
What does kakatuv mean?
I was going to ask that. Ka means as, katuv means written, kakatuv. That is as it is written. Okay. And so if you went on the next page, on page 4, and you went to the second paragraph, you see, well, you'll see that Baruch Atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. So this is about the Sabbath and the sacrifices. It's about time, but I wanted to just tell you one little personal story really quickly. I try very hard to break through to my ESL students many of whom are from Spanish-speaking countries. And I love them dearly. I love them like they were my sisters. They're the most generous and wonderful people. But it's very hard for someone who is devoutly Christian to understand that a Jew does not celebrate Christmas. I mean, look, if it's a family where you celebrate both, I'm not asking, I'm saying if it's a Jewish household, you celebrate Hanukkah, you got your 8 days, that's it, we finished. And Christmas comes this year, they kind of came together the last day of Hanukkah and Christmas Day, which was really nice. That was very nice. Anyway, when I get Christmas, I get gifts from them. They are Christmas cards and wrapped in red and green, and they're so happy. There's an outpouring of love from them. You know, I love them, they love me. I mean, it's just the most fabulous job you could ever have. And they don't understand that I don't celebrate Christmas. So one woman said to me, well, who in your family is Jewish? I said, I'm Jewish. My husband is Jewish. My 4 children are Jewish. My 5 grandchildren are Jewish. This is exponential here. My daughter-in-law, we're all Jewish. We don't celebrate. We don't dance around a Christmas tree. No Christmas tree. We don't go to church. So then she grabs me around and she says, God bless you.
You poor thing.
Right.
So, however, this year from my morning class, my Thursday class, one of the students, a very good student, comes up to me with a bag, which is gold, and the wrapping paper, the tissue is blue. And she's so excited to give this to me. She hands this to me. I go home and open it up. It is a snow globe, which sings, I had them all singing, I have a little dreidel, which sings, I have a little dreidel, you wind it up, it's a music box, and it's like a little train. It's like, I've never seen anything like that. Then from my evening class, and she was so bursting to give this to me, so happy, she couldn't wait to give it to me. And in the evening class that same day, on Thursday, it was 2 weeks ago, I got a gift from 2 other students. They're from Portugal. They're not Jewish. And one of them gives me a snow globe, not a music one. And again, smiling, so happy to give me this present because she knew I was going to cherish this and love it, a snow globe. And it got through to them that I celebrate Hanukkah, and it has like inside the snow globe, jelly donuts and a bear and a, Hanukkah, and it's on some Jewish books, which says Happy Hanukkah. They were so thrilled though that they understood, and they give this to me as a gift. I felt that I really succeeded because I brought my Hanukkah to class. I showed them how to light it. I brought dreidels, and I had them spinning the dreidels, and I explained the game dreidel. I did a worksheet on the whole holiday of Hanukkah, all the what everything means, and then to each class, the morning class and the evening class, I made a big stack of homemade latkes, and I brought in latkes and applesauce. And we're going to be making a vegetarian cookbook, so I'm giving them my latke recipe. Well, they scoffed them down like crazy.
They're good. Who can? Who doesn't? They're so good.
Oh, but I want to give them the flavor of another culture. I brought in my the horn, my shofar on the New Year, and I played it for them. They thought that was really cool.
So they're not just learning English.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was so thrilled that they were so happy with themselves that they knew that it was Hanukkah. And one of them, before she left, for vacation, she grabs me around and she hugs me and she whispers in my ear, "It's almost Hanukkah, is it?" Sunday night, and I go, "Yes." She goes, "Happy Hanukkah."
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
That's
So for me, it's a real thrill to maybe share whatever I can. Maybe I'll make them hamantashen if they're good girls.
Where do they find these tchotchkes? I've never heard of a Hanukkah snow globe.
Oh no, Bed Bath.
Jesse,
Yeah, we have a store. Well, Bed Bath and Beyond used to have them, and
Really?
what's the other one?
Michael's had them too for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Home Goods is another store that we have.
Oh,
Home
right.
Goods
I heard that
has
they
all
had
kinds of
Hanukkah stuff.
tchotchkes
Yeah.
and things. So I hope you all had a wonderful new year, new secular year, and a Hanukkah. And I will see you next week. So
And do
practice all
do
day.
we need to sign up for the next, it's this week and next week, and then we start the next semester, is that right?
Well, I had asked you if you wanted to continue as a group,
Right.
and most of you said
Yes.
yes, so
Yeah.
we'll just go on. I
You-
said,
Okay,
they had asked me if I wanted to teach in the spring semester, and I said yes. And I said, I'll ask my class if they want to continue,
Okay.
or if they want to go into an intermediate class. But basically, I'm giving you like a advanced beginner / intermediate. What
Great.
I'm giving you is
Okay. Great.
beyond, it's like the Beyond Beef or whatever. Did anyone ever try that stuff?
It's terrible. I
I
don't
used
like
to
it.
think it was terrible.
The
Bad for you.
thought of it just turns me off. Well, I don't know. All right, have a great weekend.
okay.
Too, everybody.
Shalom.
See you
Shabbat
on
shalom,
Friday.
everybody. It's good
Shabbat
seeing
shalom.
everybody.
Don't lose
Thank
that
you.
Thank you,
baby.
Carol. Thank
Going
you.
to use this next week and finish up.
Okay,
Okay.
Red
Thank you.
vanilla. Okay.
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye, everybody.